Hello, this is Domenico with Easynomics, and this is the second part to a two-part video tackling a particular Keynesian multiplier paper 3 type question. If you need an introduction or a review of the Keynesian multiplier, I recommend this video that will be linked below. It explains the Keynesian multiplier concept step by step in the context of a real-world example, looking at the United States during the COVID pandemic and the injection of government spending during that time. So let's look at the question that we're going to do in this video. This video will be focused on question C here. In the previous video, that's going to be linked below, we tackled questions A and B. We calculated the value of the Keynesian multiplier in the context of this question was 5. We also calculated the value of the marginal propensity to consume was 0.8, which is our workings here. So I have all the information I need to tackle question C. And question C is going to ask us to illustrate using a Montrose model, the ADAS model, the effect of the Keynesian multiplier in the context of this question. So let's go ahead and do this. This could be asked of you on a IB paper 3 exam, where after you work with the Keynesian multiplier, you might be asked to illustrate how it looks like in that Montrose model. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to create our X and Y axes. Here's our y-axis. Here's our x-axis. We're going to label the y-axis our price level. The IB evaluator will be checking to see that you've fully labeled your model. Here we're measuring nominal GDP, as it states here, nominal, as opposed to real. And we're going to first illustrate, since aggregate demand is shifting out due to the injection of government spending, we'll have our initial aggregate demand curve right here. So we're going to label that aggregate demand 1. And it says in this question that the central government is going to be recommended to increase government spending by $37.2 billion on expanding the provision of public health care and education. So that's going to cause the AD curve to shift out. So we're going to have that shifting out from 81 to 82. And we know that because aggregate demand is equal to consumption spending plus investment spending plus government spending plus spending by foreigners, which is represented through the exports minus imports bracket. And the question is saying that government spending is going to increase, so that's going to cause 80 to shift out. So it shifts out from 81 to 82. So I'll draw that. And the distance between 81 and 82 is the level of government spending, or 37.2 billion. So I'm going to go ahead and label that. So here we have, maybe I'll use this color. Here we have autonomous spending, and I'll label that. The IB evaluator will be checking to see if you're labeling it as autonomous spending, and the value of that's going to be $37.2 billion, expanding aggregate demand from 81 to 82. Then the multiplier effect takes hold, and it further shifts 80 out from 82 to 83. So I'm going to draw that as well and label it AD3. Again, we have that expansion of aggregate demand due to the multiplier effect. And we also have the value of 81 to 83. So the total change in nominal GDP is going to be 186 billion. So I'm going to label that. So the distance between 81 and 83, that total spending, is going to be $186 billion of total spending. I am missing this component here. This is induced spending. And to figure that out, All right, we know from working on this question that there's a change in government spending. And that change in government spending is the autonomous. So there's a change in autonomous. So a change in autonomous spending, in this case through the government, plus the change in the induced spending. It's going to be equal to the change in the in nominal GDP. So I need to solve for the induced spending. So the induced spending is going to simply be change in induced spending should be equal to the change in the nominal minus the change in the autonomous. So change in induced spending is going to be equal to, we're going to plug in the numbers, subtract, and done. Change in nominal GDP again was 186 billion minus the change in the autonomous spending or government spending, in this case, 37.2 billion. So that's going to equal 148.8 billion. All right, so essentially 37.2 billion plus 148.8 billion equals 186 billion. So I'm going to add that here in my question. So here we have the induced spending being valued at $148.8 billion. And there I've fully illustrated this model. Provide a sketch an ADS diagram to show the impact of the multiplier. So I have done that. One additional thing I can do, which can help you with analyzing the model if you're asked to do so, is to hold the price level constant so we see values of GDP on the x-axis. So I'm going to hold price level constant, PL1, and look at the intersection at 81, 82, 83. Label those points. So I'm going from point A to point B to point C, or from Y1 to Y2 to Y3. So a brief analysis could include on the x-axis we're measuring nominal GDP, on the y-axis we're measuring the price level. We have a downward sloping aggregate demand curve labeled 81 with the price level held constant PL1, real nominal GDP at Y1. Then the government increases government spending as recommended by these macroeconomists on the provision of public health care and education, causing aggregate demand to shift out from 81 to 82. That is the autonomous spending, spending being equal to 37.2 billion. That causes the Keynesian multiplier to take hold, causing a further increase in aggregate demand from 82 to 83, or from Y2 to Y3. That induced spending is valued at 148.8 billion. Thus, the total change in nominal GDP from Y1 to Y3 is $186 billion. Okay, and that's it. If you have any questions, you can comment those questions below. Don't forget to subscribe and to like, and thank you so much.